I don't know. We'll figure this out and play with it in some way. We're just like experimenting and making mistakes. And we are live. It is 6 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast of the United States. I don't know what it is in Costa Rica or in Colombia, but I do know that Dr. Nelson and I think we're in the same time zones. And welcome everyone to Kiltz Live in the Morning with Dr. Nelson, Alia, and today it's Sarah in the Buff Wellness. I was going to say in the Buff Wilderness. He's actually in Costa Rica, not Puerto Rico. And ultimately, we're all together sharing some thoughts and ideas of health and wellness. And before we introduce Sarah, Dr. Nelson, do you have anything to lead us into for this beautiful day in paradise?
Well, first of all, let us know where you're watching from. Put it in the chat. And just wanted to go over quickly our next events in April. Cholesterol Code film screening on April 6th in St. Petersburg. Go to kiltzmeetup.com. And if you're near St. Petersburg, buy a ticket. We'll also be doing April 22nd, the same thing, but in Orlando. And then April 11th, Dr. Kiltz and I will be in Long Island. And April 12th, I'll be with Lois Lotito in another meetup. Alia, do you have any announcements?
Just that we have a coaching available. Our coaches are ready to accept your call, and I put the link in the chat. You can find it in kiltz.com, kiltzhealth.com, and in the Kiltz Mighty Tribe. Also, the tribe is free for everyone, so please come. We have 3 calls a week that we do in the tribe. It's a community. It's a lot of fun, and that's where you can do the Kiltz Health certification course.
And wait, being part of a Kiltz Mighty Tribe is free?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's free.
Yes. And we're working to make the coaching course certifiable. Now, technically, you don't need a certification to be a human being and teach people how to live a healthier way, but we've created this course and certification so you can join the tribe around the globe. Nominal investment. It's about $500 right now. It may be going up. We're talking about some affiliates and other things and kind of making it so you can teach people around the globe about health and wellness, like Sarah, who's in Costa Rica, and teaching people about nutrition. So without ado, Dr. Nelson.
Sarah, good morning.
Good morning.
What time zone are you in right now? What time is it?
So I'm in Mexico City time zone, and at the moment it's 4 a.m. Usually it depends on the time of the year. Like it's either an hour difference from East Coast or 2 hours, depending.
Because you don't change time.
We don't change time.
Okay. Yeah.
We do change time. We warp time.
I know.
Same thing happens in Puerto Rico. We don't change time in Puerto Rico. Anyways, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us about your story, your journey, and you're carnivore, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us why. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I was saying I'm a huge fan of Dr. Kiltz. I've followed him for a very long time. And my journey started a while ago. I mean, ever since college, I think it was, lose the freshman 15, but even my whole life was always, just, you got to eat less and eat light and eat salads and all of those types of things. And it was just, I think it served me for a while, but then things didn't feel great. And then you overcompensate and did need to lose weight after you drink and eat college food all the time and do things that aren't good for your body. And, I had joined Weight Watchers after college and I had lost some weight, but things got worse. I had high blood pressure. I ended up in the ER. I had ovarian cysts rupture. I had what it was this pain. I didn't understand. I had horrible cystic acne when I came off of the birth control pill. I had, melasma. I had a lot of things going on. My hair started falling out. So I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand. And the doctor said everything was normal. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make me feel any better.
What do doctors know?
My lab work was normal. But it obviously there was maybe not optimal. And I was just not sure what else to do, and started kind of my background. I worked in pharmaceutical medication and pharmaceutical sales. So I worked with diabetics and in cardiology. And it was understanding a lot of the same principles, eating a healthy diet and, your grains and your.
Are
your
you
lean
allowed
meat.
to say what company or what medication you were pushing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't work for them anymore because I quit. I worked for multiple, but I had sold diabetic medications, everything from metformin, extended release metformin, to the DPP-4 inhibitors, to the SGLT2 inhibitors. I also sold one of the novel oral anticoagulants. And I then sold a medication for heart failure, which, people, when they are very sick, that there are medications that are life-saving, but you can, there's a lot of things you can do to be preventative. And that's kind of where I've done this full circle, switch of seeing what is possible when you change your diet alone. And after understanding, blood sugar and diabetes, because I was teaching doctors how these medications worked and how it lowered, your A1C and how it did this, but like, what did it actually do for this disease? And you stayed on a pill for the rest of your life. And that didn't sound good to me. So that's where I said, okay, there's got to be something else to this. And I started digging into the clinical trials and looking at, a lot more into diabetics and food. And I started a keto approach, which was not exactly the way I should have done it starting out. And I wasn't eating enough protein, and I did have some issues losing hair. And that's when I found carnivore, it was like everything clicked. Everything just started, my gut improved, my sleep improved. All of my blood pressure was normal. I lost body fat because I was still really puffy. And even I, was overweight compared to what I should have been eating, what they told me I should eat. So it really just changed everything. And I'm like, I can't not tell everyone. And so I'm in cardiology offices eating my lunch of a burger with, avocado, or a burger with eggs. And I would bring bacon and eggs and sausage to the cath lab. And people were just like, what? And I would have to bring the fruit on the side and the coffee and the juice or the bagels for the people that are like, I need to eat healthy. But I had a lot of conversations with a lot of cardiologists, all wanting to know my blood work, and I would show them because they thought it was insane. My triglycerides were so low. They were like 13 at the time. And the one doctor just could not understand, what I'm eating versus what my numbers looked like. So it was really very, very interesting. And after that, I'm like, I need to do this full time. So I went back to school on the side, and eventually we said, let's get out of the cold of Buffalo and move to Costa Rica. So started doing this full time and living as they say here, pura vida, which is just pure life. So you only get to live once, so you might as well love where you live and love what you do.
If you have any questions for Sarah, please put them in the chat. Dr. Kiltz.
Yes, Dr. Nelson.
Any questions?
Well, let's see. So, Sarah, you said you grew up in Buffalo area. Is that right?
Mhm.
Upstate New York.
Yes.
What is your where did you sort of move off of the standard approach? I mean, and maybe a little bit, what do you think now of your life as a pharmaceutical representative teaching doctors about how things work. What did it make you think and realize about the system?
Oh, it's completely backwards. It was so hard to once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's so much that can be done, even not just preventatively where you're eating differently, but even when things go wrong. If you can change your diet, it can reverse so many of these things. So why is the first approach always it's not what are you eating, because they don't know anything about nutrition. First of all, there's very, very little training, even so when your doctor says, hey, you should lose weight, they oftentimes need to take their own advice. And even a lot of the cardiologists are plant-based, not all of them, but several. There were a few more keto people that were starting to kind of understand things differently, but it's really, really backwards, all of it. And then the system just keeps you sucked in, and you don't, that's sick care. So healthcare, should be for the traumatic things, or the, you get in a car accident. Like, medicine can help, but there's so much you can do by yourself with using food as medicine.
Do we make it complicated? And is there really a simpler story to all of this?
I think so. I mean, some of it's complicated, but also, yes, the body is complex. There's a lot of systems. There's a lot going on. And I think doctors are very smart people. Almost, most of them have really good intentions. But when they are trained by the pharmaceutical industry, that's a conflict of interest that most people don't understand. And, I brought people lunch and breakfast and coffee every single day, all day. Not that like persuades anybody, but I'm teaching them, they're teaching me. So I have this medical knowledge and background, and then the studies of how my drug is the solution to their patients' problems. And it is, a lot of people don't understand, how influenced their doctors are, because even the medical school and the, all of that is paid for by pharma and written by pharma.
So we're all masterfully manipulated by the masters of the message. And the simplicity is, if we primarily eat animals, fat, little to no plants, Papa says sugar or carbs, while the rest of the world does the polar opposite. Are you finding this true even in Costa Rica and around the places you visited in this world, that we're still all living a backwards way of living because we've been given a formula that's essentially causing disease?
I think so, because I think it's understood in more general health, like, that sugar is bad, right? But they associate sugar with ice cream and candy and things like cookies, but it's in bread and it becomes sugar in your body. And that's the part I think that everybody's missing is, and even, these fruits that are not natural. So even here in Costa Rica, a banana used to be, would have one, I don't want to say bloom, but like would have one tree has bananas one time, and they would be full of seeds with very little sugar. And now they're just these sugar bombs that would never have existed in nature. And they will plant, miles and miles and miles and miles of banana trees. So it's really not even natural here. And you can tolerate more fruit when you live very close to the equator and more sugar. But I can tell you, when I was just in Argentina with so much meat everywhere and steak and 5-10 steaks on every menu, nobody was fat. Like, I did not see one person that was overweight because they walked everywhere and they pretty much ate meat. So I think there's some places that do get it, but very few out there.
What happens on a plantation?
I don't know all the specifics, but there are they're bagging, you know, and there's miles and miles of banana trees that then they have like bag the fruit so that the animals don't get it. And, you know, they're using other methods, and, you know, I'm sure there's spraying things on your food that is not natural. And yeah, there's more going on. But how did they do it? They developed this food. They also made these hybrids to resist things and yeah, have more sugar and less fiber and taste better and all of that. So
let's see, what do we got? Sarah, are you related to Carl Franklin, who was one of the founding members of the?
Nope.
No
relation. No relation.
Got it. Black test was by my cardiologist was so good. He asked me what I ate. No one on my cancer. No one on my cancer journey has ever asked me before.
Wow. Yeah, they never ask you what you eat. They just say, "Oh, what," you know. They look at some numbers and.
Well, I ask people what they eat, and they usually say clean, organic, and healthy.
Healthy, right?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Is that really a true statement anyway?
Right. And that's why when I work with people, it's not like, "Oh, what do you eat?" "Oh, I eat healthy," because like that's what your doctor's going to say. It's very generic. I have people fill out like a food journal, like everything you put in your mouth for 3 days. This is what I need to see. Or like your most common meals, like what are you eating? Because if it's not full of protein, you're not eating correctly.
I'm very interested in disease reversal. Okay. And you mentioned things, for example, you had hypertension, ended up in the emergency room, I think you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking any medication for hypertension right now?
No medications.
So you have reversed your hypertension. But when you tell your story to anyone with hypertension,
mm-hmm.
what is the pushback? What is the response that you get? Because I also get, most people don't believe it. How does that work? Even physicians,
Oh, I know. It is difficult. I mean, there are some physicians that have seen people like lose a lot of weight or something, and they're like, yeah, they've come off medications. So I think there's some out there that are maybe seeing the movement, the grassroots movement that like we're making and we're sharing out there. But like I can say I have a family member who I have multiple that have hypertension right now, and they just like, well, I need the pill. And I'm like, do you know that's related to, it's not salt. First of all, you don't need the DASH diet, which is what, the cardiologists a lot of times are pushing, like the salt. And it's like, no, it's not the salt. It is insulin. It is so much insulin resistance that if you could lower that your body starts getting the signals again of actually, how to use glucose. And there's not, this so much from overproducing it for years that everything is, all the fats locked down, and you have all of this dangerous organ visceral fat that you can actually change it. So it is tough to convince people that it's the food.
Was there any particular study, trial, anything while you were a rep that made you change your mind, or was it your personal experience with what you went through that you said, wait a second?
Yeah, there were a couple. One of them was actually like around ketones and the heart, and showing reversal of cardiac remodeling when there were ketones present. So somebody who had heart failure, which is that heart has changed shape, right? Like you now have issues with the size of your heart, the pumping of the heart. And when I saw that, about ketones, that people, when they had ketones, actually saw these cardiac changes, which medications were not doing. There is one that shows some markers. So that made me start saying, ketones, like what? I need to know more about this. And that's when I started experimenting. There was also trials looking at type 1 diabetic patients, that because type 1 and type 2 are different. And type 2 is, like too much insulin, essentially until they have none. And then Type 1 is just, they don't make it. So it was kind of understanding that maybe that was the missing piece, and how they needed more insulin to cover carbohydrates and food. And it's like, well, if you needed more, and this is what lowers glucose, like all of those things together just started making me question how it all worked. So that's when I started experimenting and testing my own glucose, ketones, what changed it, what didn't, asking the doctors, about their patients and what they're seeing. But because a lot of people really didn't track that. They would get their A1C every 3 months and it's either good or bad, and then they adjust their pill. They were not tracking day to day. So to have all that knowledge, I think really changed a lot too.
Does Rick, Dr. Nelson, if Rick does continuous glucose monitoring?
All the time. Not.
So do we, Sarah, do we need to track all these things to be healthy?
I don't think you need to. It depends on the person. If you're really stuck, maybe. If you're not, you can just eat meat and a lot of things get better. But there's other pieces that, like, do the big things first. If that completely overwhelms you, like, I'm the data person, so I really I have some clients that, yes, we track when they have a lot going on. They're checking their morning glucose and ketones for me, and we're looking at what they're eating and how everything's responding, because your blood sugar could be normal for years, right? Until you now have issues. So it is, if you're not able to make ketones, then you probably have too much insulin. And that's kind of why I do a lot with fat loss for clients that are really stuck.
Is it better to be skinny or fat in a famine?
It would be better to have body fat. Yes.
So is getting fat pathologic or biologic?
Well, I think it's a response to what we're doing. It's something, that we needed. We were always made to get fat. There was never a need to be skinny in nature.
So is fat on your body bad? Or is it
I would say, so depending on the type of fat, I would say subcutaneous fat is very good, but visceral fat is bad. But the foods that we would eat.
Tell me, how is visceral fat that your body makes bad?
I think because it has a lot of inflammatory responses, and it's suffocating your organs. And if we were never eating these foods to make that much visceral fat, I don't think it would have been there.
Where are the scientific papers on that?
Where are the scientific papers? I think there's a lot of maybe more anecdotal evidence looking at MRIs.
But so when we look at fat and we see fat, we claim it's bad because aren't we judgmental against fat?
I think so. I'm not saying that we don't need to be models.
I'm throwing a little bit of a curveball here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
What does your body make? What does your body make that's pathologic?
Yeah, I guess in that same response, so if your body makes cancer, is cancer good? So
but is your body making cancer a response to something that got into your body that caused cancer? But fat can never be pathologic because it's biologic. But if you're eating a diet that makes you fat to try to protect you, but you get sick and die, we blame the fat. What we forgot to blame was the food you ate that caused the inflammation, and not actually the visceral fat.
Yeah, so I think that there's certain types of food that will cause the visceral fat, right? So if we ate the right food from the get-go, then it would have been very hard to get fat. Like if we were eating, there wasn't much fruit, right? There was limited fruit out there. There was limited sugar, that it would have been very hard to actually be that fat in the first place. So that's why we never needed to lose it. We always needed to gain it. But if we were meeting, like you said, eating these manufactured foods, these palatable foods.
But what if, I guess I'm just throwing a question because you have a lot of nutritional knowledge. Is it possible we in the keto carnivore world are still fat phobic?
Oh yeah, meaning like body fat or dietary fat?
So any fat. No, body fat and dietary fat, we're fat phobic.
Yes, but I guess it depends.
Well, how can something your body make, and we'll go on to other things, but I still want us to begin to realize that your body makes fat in the viscera to get you fat for hibernation, migration, gestation, and more. And we are just feeding the body as if hibernation is always about to happen, but it never does.
Right. And nobody's fasting, right?
Answer?
Yeah. So I think, but like you said, like we are a little bit fat phobic, but there's no off switch. Like if it were nature, we would have been fasting, right? We would have had that time where it was using that.
But were we fasting because we wanted to, or nature put us in that environment?
Nature put us in that environment, but also there are people that eat just because it's time to eat, not because they're hungry, because it's a sport, it's entertainment.
That's the environment we're placed in because we're put on a plantation instead of in the ancient forest to hunt on our own. We're fed remember, the plantation contains slaves, soldiers, peasants, and we all become the prisoners. I think that's what you're talking about more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're teaching all of us how to break free. What does George have to say, Alia?
He says, ancestrally, we needed to be fat in autumn so that we could survive the winter. The problem is now that we have bad nutrition all year round. My father remembers when food was seasonal. Yeah. So we're in perpetual fall.
Yeah.
So my claim is there's nothing wrong with visceral fat. It's simply preparing you for the most important thing: migration, hibernation, gestation, and winter. And that's it.
And nobody's hunting, right? Like if they're that overweight, they're never moving. They're just opening the fridge. They're not.
Do you do any fasting, Sarah? You mentioned fasting.
I do. Yes. I
mean,
regularly
time restricted eating, or do you do any prolonged fasting?
I do both. I will usually eat twice a day for the most part. I mean, there's times where it's, maybe I rarely have a snack or anything like that, but I can eat a lot though. I mean, I can eat 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of meat in a sitting. So what I do may not be what someone else could do if, they're not able to eat that much, but, I eat a lot and I do fast, at least like once a week. I'll do 24 hours or, actually right today after I did some vacation, I was like, you know what, I'm doing 48. So I'm about, 42-ish hours into that right now. But I feel great after that because it's just a nice reset, and the benefits of autophagy. And, I do feel, I do a little bit more fasting in the like winter, even the rainy season, which is our winter here, but right now it's summer. But I was like, you know what, I can feel when I just felt a little, I don't want to say puffy, but like, yeah, I could use it. So I do and use fasting as well, but feasting as well. So it's not the lack of, I'm never underfueled.
We have a bunch of questions. Let's take a couple of those.
Sure.
Lion Stand of War podcast. Sarah, I sincerely appreciate how you are standing up against the system, especially in your position. Was there ever a time that you had to doubt before going against the grain, facing this giant?
The giant.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough. I had ethical dilemmas for a couple of years. And it was just like, okay, I'm telling them about this medication. I would always talk about diet as well, because a lot of these doctors saw my transformation. Like I had lost, I think it was like 40 pounds. So when I walked in, every single person, every nurse, what are you doing? They didn't want to talk about the medication. They wanted to say, what are you doing? Because you look like this now. And that got me to kind of talk about both. And then, yeah, while I was going back to school and like preparing for a different job, I was like, I'm getting there, because ethically I felt like I couldn't do this anymore, especially the last company I worked for. The medication that then they started to promote was for cholesterol, and an injectable cholesterol. And I was like, this is it. Like, no, your body needs cholesterol. And that was very freeing when I quit.
Okay, so is high cholesterol dangerous for us?
In my opinion, I think cholesterol is very natural and something your body needs.
So how is fat harmful for us any place on our body?
If it's out of balance, when there's chronic disease going on and metabolic dysfunction, then that I think is out of balance.
So it's not the fat.
What do you mean? I do think it is the visceral fat that is dangerous, but the subcutaneous good fat.
How can visceral fat made by the body be harmful?
I think the body can make things. No, you don't think so? You don't think visceral fat?
High cholesterol, remember, high cholesterol harmful.
Oh,
We
yeah.
know that. How is visceral fat made by the body harmful?
I think because it's uncontrolled and higher than it normally ever would have been.
Cholesterol, same problem.
But eating high cholesterol, if you're eating the foods that you should be eating, your body is making that in the response to the correct foods. Because high cholesterol, when you're on a high carb diet, may be different.
Same problem. You eat a lot of plants, which are high in sugars. The liver makes fat, VLDL, constantly, nonstop, 365 days a year, 24/7.
Right.
Insulin is always converting amino acids and sugars in the liver. And where does it store it? Liver first, viscera second, subcutaneous third. That's natural function of the human body. So if we understand the Ferrari, it's fueling itself for the thing for millions of years it must have done. A bear cannot survive a winter unless it gains 1,000 pounds. Do you think it puts it all in subcutaneous fat?
No, but I think they have
everywhere.
The system. Right, but they have the system in place that they build that and then they lose that.
Too.
And we don't use it. Right. And we don't use it. Yeah.
Again, this is the paradigm shift for us nutrition carnivore ketovores. The body doesn't make anything harmful for you. The foods you eat with the poisons of plants and the microbes of the gut are killing us, not the fat on the body. If you're 500 pounds, you can live about a year or more without ever eating.
Yeah.
No disease. So what I'm trying to do is to get us to think differently about even the keto carnivore approach, which still blames fat and blames people for being fat as the cause of their disease when it's not. It's the food.
Right. It's the food that is causing this response.
That's all.
Is not correct. Yeah, I agree.
No.
It is the food.
Visceral fat. I operate on people and look in their belly all day long.
Yeah.
Everyone has visceral fat. If you don't, you're dead.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have some, but you can get rid of that. It should be that ebb and flow that you're going to
need to
get into it.
Because there are plenty of fat people that are healthy when they simply go carnivore for a short amount of time. Right?
Yeah. When you change your food. Yeah. But even that, like, I agree, like you said, they change their food, but the people that can make more fat cells, right? Because they know that there's the thinner people that they, can have these metabolic issues, even when they don't necessarily look fat because their fat threshold has been hit, right? Like some of these different populations. So some people can make more fat cells where other people are kind of get capped off and then have more dysfunction.
But that's our fat phobic science. That's our fat phobic science. That's our problem in the keto carnivore world. the high protein, low fat diet that many people espouse to get skinny is deadly for an animal that doesn't have constant feeding of food. Remember, we're in a world of constant feeding.
Yeah.
So that's our only single problem. Even carnivores can be sick.
Oh, 100%. I get a lot of sick carnivores. A lot of the people that I work with specifically are the ones that, okay, I changed my diet, but I still have these things going on. And that's when we go into different modalities.
But why? What's the simplicity of that one? Why are the carnivores sick?
Because they may be eating in a way that they're trying to do too much. Also, they're doing, like you said, maybe it's too low fat, or maybe it's all the fat and not enough protein. Like they need to just eat a little bit more intuitively. Or how would it be if they were to eat this animal? What's the ratio? You know, when you're trying to manipulate things into the extremes is where I think there's a lot of problems.
And so what are your typical clients that you're talking to from around the globe? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What are their problems?
So most often, my typical clients are postmenopausal women. They're usually feeling like they can't, they're not able to feel good anymore. They're tired, they're exhausted. They still feel puffy and maybe inflamed. A lot of times they do want to lose the weight because they're having other health and they're worried about their longevity. And sleep is a big issue. A lot of people cannot sleep, and that's a lot of times very tied to blood sugar and different things. So it's trying to just help them, you know, understand that there's more you can do, or it's the extremes. Almost always, it's either too much fasting or too much, you know, they've only eaten forever and never given their body that chance to have that wonderful reset as well. So those would probably be the most common clients. But I have men too that are like, yeah, I started this, I feel good, but you know, my gut, or I still have digestive issues, or I still have this going on.
Is cannabis good for us?
I don't think so. I think it's a plant with a lot of heavy metals and toxic side effects.
Is it recommended by the modern world that controls the message now?
Yeah, I think that the pharmaceutical industry does not want that, but the other side of, you know, they don't want it because it does maybe steal some, you know, maybe sleep effects or other things that they could sell you stuff for. But now this side is a new market and more money. Yeah, for sure.
Which they essentially control too. So,
yeah.
You know, just another windfall depending on where it's at, right? It's
follow the money.
It's all the money message masters. I call them friends of Jeffrey, who spent the time on Jeffrey Island.
100%. Yeah. I think carnivore opens you up to basically the conspiracies of everything, right? You start like, they lied to me about nutrition. They lied to me about like the very thing I need to eat every single day. What else have they lied about? And it just opens up a can of worms.
Well, the simplicity of carnivore: eat fatty meat.
Mm-hmm. Eat meat.
Just enjoy the day. Have faith in God. And be spiritual. It's within all of us. We're the gods.
Yeah.
We're lions, not sheep. And if you simply eat like Rick, who was trying to kill himself as a carnivore, and the damn guy didn't die at 14.
Wow. Who is Rick? I don't know the story.
Who's Rick?
He's been eating following a carnivore diet since 1983.
Oh,
and he's incredibly intelligent.
Awesome.
And very tall.
Rick is like the most intelligent guy in the universe.
That's awesome.
Like, he puts us all to shame, but he's the most humble, amazing human being we'll ever know. He lives on a plantation with iguanas.
Nice.
In Miami.
In Miami.
Very nice. I love it. I mean, I always say, like, when people say, like, would you go back? Like, the things I would not regret, but what I would change, I would love to be like eating this earlier. Like, what would, you know, the trajectory be? And some of these people that like have the babies that of your clients, like that are starting eating all of these perfect foods, and they're just going to be able to be superhuman compared to, what we were exposed to if you start coming out eating meat and all that. And I think it's so good.
I just want to know, maybe if Mitch is here or Naslo, about is a cigar harmful for us? I mean, Peter may have the answer too. If you smoke a cigar from time to time, is it harmful for us? Is eating vegetables worse?
I don't think either of them are good, but yeah, I think if you can live your life the majority of the time in a way that you're doing the best things you can do for your body. I know my husband will have a cigar once in a while from time to time. Obviously, I'm not going to stop him. He's his own person. He can do whatever he wants. He'll also eat a plant every once in a while, or like he tried empanadas in Argentina. Like I didn't. I'm not that person. I know how it makes me feel. I'm easy to pass, but I think people can, there's no carnivore police that show up if you did something. I did have wine in Argentina, and it was delightful, and it was made, and it was super dry. Normally I couldn't drink wine anymore. I used to drink more, and even when I went carnivore, not only did I not want it, but everything tastes super sweet. And I had an amazing glass of very dry wine with no additives, because they don't add that stuff to their, they don't add crazy things to their food in a lot of countries that they do in the U.S. So the carnivore police did not show up when I had a beautiful glass of very dry red wine.
Right. So the whole point a little bit is a high protein diet good for us, by the way?
So I guess it would be subjective, because carnivore, I think, is high protein compared to the standard American diet. So yes.
Does a carnivore diet have sugars in it?
It doesn't have sugar, but meat will become glucose in the absence of, carbohydrates. So it's not sugar, but it can be.
Well, glycocalyx is the sugar layer on every membrane of every organism created by sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Sugars are in meat and in plants. They're just different sugars. Yep. I just think we should call it plants or animals. And eating lean animals is not as healthy as eating fatty animals. But plants and animals contain sugars, just different sugars, the glycans. Mm-hmm. That was a science that we're not taught. And we're going to talk about post-translational modification coming up very soon, another thing that we're not talking about. So what about exercise? How important is, I know I see you talking a little bit about lifting weights and motion and all that stuff. Is that really important?
I think it's very important. The things that I think are important are eating meat, moving your body, lifting heavy things, resting, sleeping, and sunshine. And I moved to a place where I needed sunshine, because, that's the other big lie too, right? Is the sun is so good for your gut and your skin. And everybody asks me all the time, like, and I live in the tropics, and you're so tan. How are you so tan? I'm like, we live at the equator. Like, how are you not? And I don't understand that, but they will burn because of all, like you said, the sugar that's in their body, the excess, or, I can tolerate more sun. Not that I'm outside all day in the 95 degrees, but I get sunshine every day because it's a priority for me.
If you had to migrate from Costa Rica to Los Angeles walking, and there's no food, what's the fuel for the body?
Fat and sun and yeah.
I mean, it's fat, right? Fat is the fuel always, and that's the craziness.
Yeah.
Did you get the question about what do you eat in a day? Did that come?
Oh, yeah, I see
Oh,
that.
I
So
don't think so. No.
I saw it come through. I eat, so I love red meat. I mean, red meat is the majority of my diet. Here, here in Costa Rica, almost all the cows are grass fed. So it is leaner than the US because they're eating their natural diet, but it's still got enough fat to taste good. So I eat a lot of ground beef and steaks. There's a guy that, the cows up the mountain, and the cows are on a mountain like this. They're not even on flat land like this. So they're leaner. But they still have enough fat to taste good. And I do eat seafood because it's the ocean. I can hear it from here, right? I'm very close to the ocean. So I love different fish that they have. Shrimp is super good. But to me, it's always got to be with my meat because or eggs, like I will usually have a little bit as a side of that, because if I just ate seafood, a lot of times I'm going to be hungry too quickly. So, but I eat a lot of sardines, a lot of eggs, and mostly the majority of my diet is ground beef. So once in a while I'll have a chicken, but it's rare. I usually will, take a picture of it because I'm like, look, I ate chicken today because it's.
How much visceral fat is in a cow?
What's that?
How much visceral fat is in a cow?
I think it depends on what they were eating too, because if you look at the grain fed, there's more marbling, right? And then when you look at the grass fed, the fat's on the outside. It's like that.
So is eating visceral fat from a cow poisonous?
I wouldn't say maybe poisonous, but maybe that cow was not as healthy.
But all cows, all of us have visceral fat.
Mm-hmm.
Is it poisonous?
I don't know if I would say it's poisonous. You're going to survive on it. However, that cow was not eating a natural diet when they have more visceral fat.
Every cow, every human has an omentum. And the GI tract stores fat. Mm-hmm. Visceral fat.
Mm-hmm.
Is it poisonous?
I don't think it's poisonous.
It's not. That's the answer. It's just in humans we see a lot of it because they're eating a diet that is nonstop making visceral fat. So the fat's not the poison. It's the diet's the poison.
Yeah, so you're just keep going back to the root cause of what is actually the problem.
I'm just trying to get back to, if you're a cow being fed a lot of food, even if it's just ground up grass, you're going to get fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to get fat. But the cows here, if you look at the cows here, they do not look fat because they're eating their natural diet.
But they're just because the production, there are no mass productions of the food like we do it, but they do it in other countries of the world too. I think we're just domesticated animals. We are.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's what you're saying. Like if we were just like you're on the plantation essentially, but you're on a natural plantation in a sense and eating the nature's food in a way that isn't force feeding you.
Yeah. Yeah, I always joke that I unplugged from the matrix, or, I broke out or whatever it is, because blue light, like I'm not inside. I could tell you, I used to be indoors maybe 2 hours a week when I took Spanish class. Well, she just moved and now her class is outside. So the only time I am inside is at nighttime. And it is very rare. So I've unplugged and made a totally different life because of that. And I feel better than I ever have. And I'm older than I've ever been. Right. So I think that you can make changes and do things differently.
Can everyone take control of their lives and fight the paradigm and break away from the matrix?
Absolutely, because you are not a tree. You can move. If you don't like your environment, you can get up and walk away and change it. And it may not be easy and it might be scary and it's not comfortable, But this is what I tell people every day, because if you're not happy living your life, then why are you doing it? Like, you
Change
don't
it.
have to change it. You don't have to be stuck.
And you did so by thousands of miles.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But can everyone change the paradigm by changing their mindset? Ricky Lee Carnivore, thank you for the $5 investment in Kiltz Health, the tribal way. And we're going to build our funding to bring this around the globe. But back to Sarah, who now I'm in Skinny Atlas. I don't know if you've ever been to Skinny Atlas. Yeah. I'm in Sarasota right now. We might see the sunrise coming up pretty soon. But ultimately, we don't have to go anywhere. It's a mind melt, essentially, right?
Yeah. If you want to, no matter where you want to live, if your family's there, but if you hate your job and you hate, that's what you need to change. It's your mindset. It's your, how your body reacts, because your nervous system, if your mind is unhappy, your body can be unhappy. And how many people have effects on your body too? So,
and have you had any hardships in life?
Absolutely.
Are they bad for us or actually kind of good for us?
So unfortunately, they're good for us because they teach you how to adapt, how to solve problems.
Is it fortunate or unfortunate?
I know it is fortunate. Because we need as humans, we need problems to solve. Or isn't there's my husband talks about this, and I'll probably mess it up, but there's like a rat study of like the utopia of rats, and how when they have no problems, they started like dying off because they didn't it gave them everything they needed, and they started getting weaker and sicker. And that's what, is happening. So
is God's spirituality important in your life?
It is. It's changed for sure. I mean, I think I just have a belief in in being good and doing more. And while I don't necessarily always worship in a place, I think that I just reflect that there's higher power as well. But you are in control of how you approach your life too.
Alia, what's the best way to see the highest power in the universe?
Look in the mirror.
I love it.
Nice.
Look in the mirror.
We're
it. Tag, done. God is us. Isn't that like the stupidest, simplest answer of the universe?
I like that.
We're like, oh, come on. God's got to be out there, right? And you're gonna search your entire life for it, and then you look in the mirror one day and you go like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're in control. If you can believe what everyone believes, but if you are not doing what you need to do every day, or you can manifest. There's a lot of I'm going to say alternate ideas in Costa Rica that people have a lot of different modalities of things they do, like manifesting, and there's sound healing and all of these things, which are great. But if you can sit there and manifest all day, but if you don't go out and do what you got to do, nothing's going to happen.
So can a vegan be healthy? Yep.
I think they can be healthy. Will they be optimal? No. But they can be healthy.
Well, it's mindset, master set. I don't care if you're a vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, pescatarian, or carnivorian. Mind, faith first. Now, add some fat, eat less frequently. Oh my God. And then how do you love the work you hate?
What's that?
How do you love the work you hate?
Oh, well, you'd have to change your mindset.
I just got to think more like Dr. Nelson and Nelly, and I'll be better.
I will say my husband, he always says, like, go through the suck. Like, he had to paint the roof and it was super hot. And he's like, it's just going to suck, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to listen to this music while I do it. And there we go. And like, he's very good at being like, I'm going to think differently about this.
So I misplaced my cross and lion emblem. I couldn't find it. And then then Tia said, okay, she went and ordered a new one for me. And literally that same day, when she was taking stuff out of the washer, it showed up.
Oh, how
It's
nice.
been gone for like a month or more. And I said, mindset, master set, visualization, and it just like bingo showed up.
That's amazing.
She got me a sword to go with my lion emblem.
Nice.
And are we lions or sheep?
I know I'm guessing on this panel we're lions, but there are some people out there that are sheep.
We're all lions, but they think and eat and live like sheep. That's where Christ comes in, because he's the dude that says, hey guys, come on. All you need to do is change your mindset and you will be the master of the universe. And that's why we're all here, right?
Yeah.
Is coaching important for all of us?
Coaching.
I
think sharing ideas and talking and knowledge and expertise. I mean, all of that, and even stories are how people learned, right? It's the message, it's the morals, it's everything. So you have to share your experience. You have to listen to others that, as well. And, that will frame everything for you.
Where can people find you, Sarah?
So I'm in the Buff Wellness on Instagram and inthebuffwellness.com. And that's where they can find me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And
so your Instagram, and then in the buffwellness.com, which is your website.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
And you also have a YouTube, same name, the Buff Wellness.
Yes, I need to be better on YouTube, because I feel like longer conversations are more important and help people a little bit more. So that's one of my things that I need to do more of, and I'm going to, and that's why I'm saying it live, so that people can hold me to it, because I do enjoy it. It's different sometimes. It's great to talk to people like this, but when you're solo, sometimes it's different. But yeah,
hit it, Alia. Just hit it.
On it.
Okay, here's a good one. Michael Fregler. How is fat bad if you're too fat and can't chase the animals? It wouldn't be too good, would it? Is that it?
It would be hard, yeah.
But here's the simple answer. What's the fuel for every cell of your body?
Fat.
So guess what you don't need to do?
What you don't need to do? Yeah, I know. I'm not eating right now.
So in fact, is an obese person in bad shape or possibly the best shape because they don't need to do what you need to do because they're already what they're supposed to be? Again, you know how many animals absolutely hibernate for 6 months, a year, or migrate thousands of miles and don't eat for weeks or months?
Yeah.
We've got the science wrong. Obesity is simple. What are the odds that some bomb is coming our way and is going to disturb our food delivery system?
Yeah.
And I ask anyone, go hunt and gather. Even in Costa Rica, go try to kill someone else's cows.
Yeah.
You'll be dead.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
guess what the best state to be in a famine, war, pestilence, or hibernation is obese.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing pathologic about it. You don't actually need to eat. Yeah. All right. How much time, Alia?
We got like a few seconds, but I want to say congratulations, Odyssey Burns. Email me, alia@drkiltz.com, and we will get you a baseball, the hat that Dr. Kiltz is wearing right now on his head.
And Sarah, you're the best. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I ask crazy words and things and thoughts and push us a little bit, but we got to change the world.